Good morning, group. I'm here with Ruppert. Today is May 3rd. I had some video issues and the audio should be completely restored. As usual, we're going to give Ruppert his potty break. And today we're going to go back inside and I go back to the round touchpads. That has been a while. He only had one introduction to it. Yesterday we had puppy class here and a lot of dogs pissed and pooped inside, unfortunately. Yeah, that's the disadvantage when you work with puppies. So, like I said, today we are going to reintroduce the round touchpads and teach Ruppert to go onto them, stand onto them, wait. And then we're also going to try to implement some focus onto the touchpad and see how he does. He's a really happy camper. Today also a special day. Later this afternoon or at noon, around noon, his owners will come and meet him for the first time. It's a small first introduction. They're going to spend here about a month. And then Ruppert will also meet later this week their other dog, a female German Shepherd that will be his life partner. So, but today we're going to focus on introducing the new owners, and then later this week we are going to introduce the new dog. So that will be interesting and exciting for the owners to see their new dog. So as for now, I'm going to let him finish, go to the bathroom, and then I'm going to set up the training area with the touchpads, and I will see you there. So here we're inside. I decided to have two different sizes touchpads. I want to see how he does. I'm going to introduce him back to the touchpad and see if he remembers. He absolutely remembers the turn for a little bit. See if he is able to go onto the small touchpad. And I haven't trained any of this. Touch. No. So I'm asking for focus right now. One of the things that I always advise people, as well in detection work as in this kind of work, when I'm standing in front of an object, is always to kind of move. So movement is not part of the body language, so we can kind of randomize everything. For now, I'm going to stay on a visual cue. He has a little bit of problems here with the small touchpad, and I dropped a piece of food. So I'm going to stay on the small touchpad for a little bit. And you can see, as soon as I move my right hand on the small touchpad, he wants to come off. I need to go back to luring in this particular case and let him find the touchpad. I'm going to reinforce that he needs to stand onto the touchpad. The small touchpad obviously has a more difficult criteria than the little one. As you see, he's also very reluctant to turn. That side does go better. He does not want to turn on the small touchpad, as you can see. Let's see how that goes. Touch. You see, much better. A lot more a lot more mobility in the dog. You can see the spins are going better. And so when he's on the small touchpad, he says, hey, this is kind of awkward for me. There we go. That was actually a good turn. I want to focus on the muscle memory again on the touchpad. I think we're doing well here. Reward for eye contact. Make sure you feel ambidextrous. So you see eye contact is getting better, which is nice. And change direction with the left hand. No, and you see the left hand confusion with the basic position. He wants to come in basic position every time he sees my left hand move. He thinks we're gonna go in basic position. So you see that approximations of other visual cues might lead to conflict. And in this particular case, the conflict is the approximations of the movement that I did for the basic position. Better I need another cup of coffee, I think. So the movement that I did for the visual cue to go to the touchpad is an approximation for him to the basic position, and hence he's confused. So let's go to the I'm gonna make him turn. So I'm actually very happy with what he remembered, because we've only done this like twice. I do that, with the young dogs, and normally dogs remember this behavior pretty well because it's object, and the behavior associated with this object was standing on it, and the memory of the canis lupus is really good with that. Once they have an experience with an object, and the experience is either positive or negative, they tend to memorize that behavior a lot quicker than when no object was involved. And so in training, I like to use objects to increase the memory of our canis lupus. As you can see, here's confused with my good zo mintje, with the language. Let's try another good zo, little movements. As you can see, the coordination from him with the pause on the small touchpad is better. Good. Good. One more. And there it is, I got a bonus. So guys, as you can see, Ruppert did actually really well for the third time that he's been introduced to the touchpads. Like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I like to use the touchpads for healing, for jumping, for the send out, for protection work, for guarding. So it's a very versatile tool that can be used in our dog training. Like I mentioned in this session, one of the other reasons that I like to use these objects is because it really helps with the understanding, it really helps with the memory of behaviors with the dogs. Dogs tend to remember interactions, like I said, positive or negative, with objects and the behavior that is associated with it a lot faster than when we would do these behaviors without the object. So a challenge, of course, that in the future we will need to eventually fade out the objects. For instance, in competition, we can't use these objects and there's no objects on the field that, the dog will have a visual recognition that, hey, there's a jump, there's a touchpad, I know what to do. Well, in competition, there is no such thing as a touchpad. So part of our progress or in this in the development of these behaviors is that eventually in each behavior that we use the objects will need to be faded out, and that's a very gradual process. So in this Ruppert series you will see me do that many times, and we actually also used objects within the puppy series with Jeff and Agrippa. There Agrippa had a problem in his basic position to the right leg, that his butt would scoot behind Jeff's leg, and so we used objects to keep the dog's back and ass straight, and to get the entry point to the basic position to the right also straight. And eventually we will also need to fade out those objects. So touchpads and other objects have are an important part of my training progress. So for now, you see Ruppert is happy with the session, I am happy with the session, and this afternoon we will film the introduction with the new owners, see how that goes, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.
Hi to the Facebook group.
Yeah, so I'm here to start another session with Ruppert. We have some visitors here. Here's our friend Jeff, and the owners of Ruppert arrived. So similar session as I did this morning. I'm going to work on the touchpads and muscle memory on the small touchpad and the focus. So I'm going to go get him, and then we'll start right into the session. Okay guys, so we're here in the session, so let's see how he deals with the distractions. So he checks in with me pretty quickly, which is great. I'm just going to start with reinforcing some engagement based upon the distractions that I have. And he seems to do okay. So I'm rewarding for the movement of the back legs. And I'm trying to isolate, and there I made a mistake. So let's switch into the other one. He seems interested in the people. Just waiting for eye contact here. And let's put him back on the little one. Good job. So a little bit delayed in the focus because it's looking at the people around me. Good, there we go. Good job. No. And he's a big shepherd, so it's pretty difficult for him to maintain on the touchpad with his front feet, but a lot better mobility than than this morning. Goed zo, jongen. Oké. Goed zo. So good first session. Give him a little break. We'll go back into the second session here. As you can see, when I move with my left hand, he's confused with the basic position. With the right hand, he goes back to the touchpad. Something that we need to be careful for, that we maintain clarity in our visual cues. Criteria is both feet on the touchpad. Oh, and there I dropped foot again. Touch. As you can see, he's starting to turn more and more into my direction, which is great, because eventually this is going to lead to a front. There you go, nice. Like I mentioned, this morning, feet ambidextrous. I'm gonna wait for another footstep before I reward him. There you go. And one more time. Much straighter. And we'll use that for the send out when we send the dog away, that he runs to a position and then turns into our direction automatically. Touch. Nope. Not good enough. Not good enough. And not good enough. You see, he's confused here with the big touchpad, hence the yawn. Oh, and he broke touch. Good job. Okay. Goed zo, Wintje. Flinke. Goed zo. Let me check my camera here. Good job. One more time. Touch. So considering the distractions, pretty good. No, touch. Good, so one more time to the small one. Touch. Nice. A lot better stability.
keep him on the touchpad for a little bit here. And the touchpads are really handy for stay exercises. And one more time. And as an end, let's call him in basic position. Visual cue of the touchpad is stronger. See? Let's try this way. Good, so. Okay, game over. So, second session of the day with Ruppert. I think it went really well. We made a lot of progress compared to this morning. The bottom mechanics on the small touchpad is a lot better. He was aligning himself almost 180 degrees. And then here's the Ruppert happiness as always after training. So very happy. I'm going to stick with this exercise for another day. So tomorrow we'll have 2 of these identical sessions. However, I'm going to raise the criteria by putting the touchpads a little bit further apart and then asking him for the same thing. So I will see you in that session. Good job.